Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, another day with the self-proclaimed governor of the planet Earth. That's how I'm so full of myself. Oh goodness. So I hope you all doing well. Mr. Arash is here. Um, oh yeah, I forgot. I was trying to talk about something. So here's something that happened today. It's not a new thing, but it's something that keeps going um, in my mind, and that's really interesting. You can call it energy, you can call it psychology. I know they all end with a GI, right? Surprisingly enough. But what I want to get at is that here's the big thing. Things that we do, the result of those things, they don't stop right there up on that action. It's not just doing that single deed and the effect of it doesn't stop there. It creates a energy. It has a psychological load to it that affects more than just that particular object, whatever that was, how big that was. Could it be just you were talking to one person in a let's say, or let's just say it this way. Let's say whether you manage to cut a tree that is 1 out of 1 billion, or you manage to knock out a whole building. See what I'm saying? Whatever, however it was, it doesn't just stop there. Is a psychological aspect to it that whatever you did, make its effect by far. Uh, it, it basically goes beyond that particular thing. I hope you get the idea. You're like, okay, we get what you're trying to say. Good. So, what I want to particularly talk about is that, and this is really a good timing to talk about this, I think, because, like, this whole thing with the coronavirus and shit like that. And I want to kind of relate these things together to each other because this is a big deal. Um, I'm not going to talk about conspiracy. Really, I'm talking about some realistic matters here. That is, how um, the psychological um, scenery of America, the popular, that is, how it can tremendously, um, in a most unconventional or eccentric way, can really destroy America. That might be a better way of saying it. Um, if you're a man and you happen to live in America, chances are you have used the public restroom, and you probably know what I'm talking about. A lot of men, I don't know about women, so I want to focus on men. They go to the restrooms and they don't wash their freakish hand. Their freakish hand. Now, I'm sorry, a society that somehow thinks, for whatever reason, it's okay to do that. Do you think the most advanced healthcare in the system in the world, the top-notch, you get what I'm trying to say? I mean, we can do anything. It's just like, literally building a house that is, a building that is proof against anything, against atomic bomb, against anything. Like, it just cannot be destroyed. Like, that's just not possible. If there is a force out there It's not possible, but here's the thing. We have this thing called guns inside it. And this comes the tricky, which really interests you. The coincidence, why in the most powerful country on earth that has one of the highest level of securities, I actually mentioned something interesting there. That's exactly what's happening in America. That's interesting. There's this thing called free guns. That is, you have the freedom to have guns. Why? Here's the thing. When a nation is fulfilled in terms of security, it feels minimal dependency on the state and the government and becomes rebellious. This is just how the society works. So United States of America comes in and tries to convince you, and this is a country of nothing but convincing. This country's whole foundation, people that are being programmed to take this convincement. I don't know what's the noun for this thing. I apologize. I speak English as a third language, and I mean it. Yeah, they come and convince you that, no, in your own benefit, you're allowed and you have the right to carry guns, which kind of goes around and means one thing. We are not stupid. That means anybody, the second that I'm sitting here, potentially could have a gun on him and could go and do something nuts. So, as a basically way to ward that off or try to prevent that, we come up with another whole power called government, that we give him the wings and balls. Wings. We give him wings and power so they can counter this whole effect. And that branches out to a lot of the tax money, all the rights, the freedom, all these different powers and acts that enables the government to do all kinds of other run their nose into the private citizens' lives. It doesn't just simply stop right there. You see what I'm saying? So it becomes this whole massive entity called the United States government, which not only it plays a major role in an international scene in trying to secure the America's border, but also plays a big role in the lives of the very and every citizen of this country. My main point that I want to get back to is this whole thing having to do with the nation of being convinced. So somewhere along the line, people kind of, and I'm saying this as a outsider observing the situation, they literally believe they have the right not to care about the society. I have the right. This is my hands. I can choose. Very strongly they believe I have the right to wash them or not wash them. Just like the fact that they come and say, you know what, and that to the certain extent, just so you know, I'm kind of in the middle of the road with having to do with abortion. That's not even a matter. I don't think that how that even fucking plays a factor in the American politics, because it's so stupid. I'm sorry, you go and kill a bunch of the women and men and children overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. We don't give a shit about it. Well, we care about the few women here or there who you're talking about their abortion, and we go as even far as pulling God into this whole scene, and we try to say, oh, in the name of fuck you and that God of yours, motherfucker, son of a bitch. Anyways, that's another story. So yeah, they say, the woman has the right to, it's her body. She can decide to choose if she wants to abort her child or if she wants to give birth. That's her choice. Okay. You know what, that I don't even have a good stand on it, because I think the issue is not solely about the possession and the body. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole different video to talk about. But here's my main thing that I want to say. As an outsider who's observing this, I come from a background where, I'm from Iran. I grew up in Iran. I was 17 for the most part when I came here. So I was kind of, my whole sense of this world was kind of developed over there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, Iranians and Persians, we kind of built the foundation of politics. So in terms of that added value that is intangible and it's very abstract, called you know, politics, or basically, I don't know, things that break into being liked or not liked, advancing your cause without a actual tangible reason. We're so good at it. But then again, the very same person who's saying that, I'm going to tell you that when I was growing up, before my the agenda and the focus that I was exposed to was technicality. It was not this whole political part surrounding it, and I want to really emphasize that. So I'm really unfamiliar with this whole tactics and convincing and sales things. And I just realized that these people have been really brainwashed. Americans being brainwashed into literally taking that. It's just like sort of this whole thing having to do with the value of the money, the paper money. There's really nothing valuable that this piece of note that you're holding in your hand. But in a psychological sense, there's a value attached to it that we all agree on, and that's what makes it valuable. In the same way, something that is so little empty, we become and we play it. And what does that mean? We're cutting the corners from somewhere else that is an actual product. And by product, I'm not even referring to actual product. A lot of you might say, you know what, RS, you're full of shit, because you know what? At the end of the day, majority of the products that are made in America are top-notch quality. We put the largest scales. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about product you as a person whose brain is fucked. That's what I'm trying to say. The reason you're still good at it creating a product is because you're robotic. You're specialized to think and have a tunnel vision. This is why you excel. That means that you're not able on your own to figure anything about this whole society. You're fragmented, you're segregated, you don't have a sense, you're blinded. Let's just be so little bit blunt here. Maybe that will actually get your eyes out of that blindness. You can't do anything, you can't think on anything. You're just a baby who is, if without the help of the parents, there's no chance it can survive on its own. You need somebody to come and feed you. Tomorrow, if they empty the shelves of the Publix, that's why Americans were such a joke to us, like Iranians, like foreigners, like you tell them, like, oh my god, that is so stupid. Why these people are panicking? They're not panicking, they're actually smart people in a way. They know that they don't have a way to get their merchandise. They don't even know how the system works to try to get their products. So you're cutting corner from, you're training the minds. Instead of having inclination towards technicality, you're training a so to focus on that portion, and you're training a generation that 2 or 3 years has lost its ability to think. I started this insurance, and today they wanted me to watch this few videos. It's not the first time I'm watching this thing, but the reality is that, I'm sorry, this whole concept of a salesman is a killed concept in my culture. We don't have that. A salesman is really just a man who either owns the merchandise and owns the store, maybe. I'm talking, let's say, in sense of a typical appliance shop in Iran. So you walk in, there's a selection of products, whatever the quality is, that's another thing. He owns the store. He might be able to answer some of your questions or not. The decision ultimately is on you. What I mean by that is that the culture is devised in a way that that person does not even make an attempt to try to convince you. That's what I'm trying to say. When you go to a shop in Iran, or maybe I better back it up. Maybe when I was growing up in the year 2000, still to that day, there was no such a thing. Somebody coming to you and trying to uh, suggest you a certain product or get you educated certain thing or so. There was no such a thing. We didn't have that expectation from that person to come. He didn't culturally feel there was no that mentality to him to try to come forward and try to pursue you and to persuade you. And third, it was really more like somebody who would just has showcased the product. You make your decision. If you want to ask questions, sure, you can reach out to him. He might say, yeah, you know what, I personally like this guy better. I would have maybe bought him, matter of fact, on thinking that said, but maybe mainly because maybe I know the brands. Let's say a Sony versus like a Panasonic, I would be like, you know what, I think Sony is much better quality. So given the price tags are about the same, maybe Sony's a little higher, I'll go with the Sony. You know what I mean? Maybe our luck looks better. Maybe I know the specification, but like one thing is missing like big time in the American society, people don't know about the specifications. What I mean is that, so here's the thing, and I told myself, alright, you know what? It's not a new thing. I've kept telling myself, so you know what, I don't want to be part of this. I became an insurance agent, but my goal is not to try to, my goal is to educate people. I'm not there. And funny is that all those people that I see there, they don't even follow any of the guide. I've observed the behavior that they do. Um, Part of them, they don't know the product even. They're just selling. Uh, is really by the virtue of some system and them being an intermediary that gives them the room to make money. That is, the sales agents in an office. And some of them, they know the product and they literally more or less try to gauge people towards a product, their choice that they know has the highest, commission rate. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that because I want to create a trend that is an opposite. I want to make a trend that I want to make somebody to ask me questions. I want to educate people. I want to give them the sense. You know, this is a big thing, man. You know, I mean, come on, this is a really big thing. I mean, we live in a 21st century. You telling me that you don't wash your hands? Which part of it you don't understand? These are the hands you gotta go. I mean, I'm sorry, do you understand where I'm going? I mean, this is a big irony in this country. I mean, ultimately, whether you have the greatest healthcare out there or not, this washing hands. And I'm to be honest with you, a lot of times I don't wash my hands. Part of it, I think, ever since I came to America, I mean, I seriously believe, like, you know what? I don't need to wash my hands. I'm serious. I'll be honest with you. That's how strong this cultural effect is. Now, I'm a fucking foreigner, and I feel that way. You think of somebody who actually grew up in this system. You know, so yeah, this is really a big thing, man. And we're going really towards the wrong direction, man. And maybe this is in a way, I don't know if you've heard of this. I heard some stories about the conspiracies and plots against this thing. A few months ago in Stanford, actually, if I'm not mistaken, either Harvard or Stanford, there was a gathering where they actually talked about a controlling a pandemic, of actually, guess what, the very exact medicine, corona. This happened in September of last year. They had this huge web seminar, and the participants of that seminar were Chinese teams in America, mainly speaking these two countries. And the whole idea was it was like the backbone of a drill, if you will, how to organize and how to do things to try to fight off what's what's the word for it, a fake pandemic. So basically, you know, to get ready for that thing. And I think they went as far as to try to actually creating it, to try to see the global response to it. And as you can see, purely it proved that Americans are so weak. Not only they need our help with the guns, they also need our help to undermine their privacy and so forth, a lot more, to try to take on their private life so we can control them out of this very biological thing. This is freakishly very insane, very real. And I'm telling you, because you need to change the structure of this country. You're going towards a direction where you're gonna fall victim to the same government that has so far gone after so many other countries in the world in the name of your own safety. That is to bring profit for you and security for you, and at the behest of your welfare. That very country is gonna come after you now. That same government has used all its techniques and its old strategies that has accumulated in fighting those nations. Now it's gonna come after you, and they're gonna do the same exact thing to you, and they have no shame, they have no mercy. They'll do it, they walk away, and they show you your fingers. You can't fight us, your problem. The solution to it, if you ask me, you're like, well, what do you think? I would say, it's hard to come up with a solution, because this is a process. This is not something that, well, you got to understand, you know, you got to take down the subvert. You got to dismantle the ideology that basically segregates, creates polar powers in the world to advance this cause. I mean, what I'm saying is that really the system to begin with. Now, I'm a fan of gradualism. I don't think, you know, anybody should go after anybody, but this is a serious thing. People need to take this thing to their own hands instead of trying to consider the politicians, because politicians are not there to protect the interests of people. Whether it's America, Iran, the way that the political system is set out today in our world, that's just how it is. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm sorry, I was not prepared to create an answer here, and my weakness, I can't really come up with a solid plan here to pose as a solution to what is happening now. I might have to talk about that in other videos. So, but I really want to open your eyes. That's my main goal, and show that, you know, we have left ourselves so susceptible in the name of our own rights and our different. You know, we gotta. I think the big thing, really, all I can think of, this culture of individualism has gone so far. We need to establish a sense of community. We need to stop punishing the people for being poor and being so indifferent. If you see a homeless man sitting in front of your house, the way to go at is not to get rid of that man. The way is to go and try to reach out the man and try to help him, feed him, to try to come up with together. If you don't have such a structure in place, whether on your own or in sense of a neighborhood and so forth, this is where you go in. You become so independent that you literally don't have anybody behind you. That's what is happening in America. you know, and elderly, they are fucking left on their own in a house that they own. Or they're independent, and they happen to be independently die. Have a good year.